Hello, and welcome to this week's episode of Pit Against, a live Flesh and Blood call-in show. I'm joined by my constant co-host, Kevin Smurf Murphy. Kevin, what's up?
Not much.
Yeah?
Done with PQs?
Going to Battle Hardens? Battle Harden season.
Nope.
Okay. Pit Against is a live call-in show. If you want to be on here, on air, talking to Nathan about your takes, please join the Pit Against Discord by clicking on the link that's in the description, or Kevin has just now put in chat. We join the waiting room channel, put your hot take in the channel, in the topics channel, and then if we like your take, we'll pull you on air to talk to Nathan right now. Nathan, how are you doing?
I'm doing all right.
Yeah.
I'm doing pretty good. We had a stream yesterday. We'll call it that. And yeah, we just voiced some opinions and got a little hot, and then kind of rewind a little bit on Twitter today and basically admitted that I was a little bit wrong. So like, I don't know, we've learned a lot in the past 24 hours.
It's an emotional roller coaster. I feel like a little bit of what we're going to talk about is what we talked about the last time you were on here too, right? Mm-hmm. It was a similar topic where we were talking about, where are you going to go in Flesh and Blood in the future? But also that's a question a lot of people are thinking about as heroes are rotating, which is something that didn't happen for what felt like 3 years. But heroes are rotating, right?
Absolutely.
So we'll start with that. What was the central theme of the stream last night?
So the central theme was I spent about 30 minutes explaining why Sash is a broken card, and kind of like broke down the mathematics behind it. 30 minutes on one card is a long time, but we got pretty deep, and then after that we completely derailed and for 2.5 hours talked about polarization in Flesh and Blood, and apparently a lot of people feel similar. Which I was a little shocked because I went into it and I was like, I think I literally started the topic by saying like, look, if I'm being a little bitch about it, like, let me know, kind of situation. I think I literally said that twice during the stream.
Yeah.
And because I walked into it and I was like, maybe I am just like kind of complaining and I don't want that to be the message, right? Mm-hmm. And I kind of want, because I know LSS does things for a very calculated reason, and the reason was not to just air out laundry or anything like that, but actually just have a productive conversation and also gain a better understanding of like what people are used to. Is this the norm? Because I don't have an extensive TCG background. I just went hard into Flesh and Blood, and so I used it as like a learning tool to interact with other people that have an extensive background, and is this the norm and stuff like that, and kind of learned a lot.
Yeah. So the take you told me, I guess this is like 3-4 days ago, 5 days ago, something.
Oh yeah.
You were like, extremely polarized matchups are a great threat to Flesh and Blood. Also, Flesh and Blood currently has the least amount of interaction it has ever had. After having done research, gone around and discussed with some older TCG players, or I guess just more experienced immersed in the TCG culture, do you still feel that way? How would you rephrase that take, I guess? If you do. If you don't, that's also awesome. That's funny.
I would rephrase the first half.
Okay.
The second half can stay, but the first half I would say, and it was one person specifically that laid it out for me and explained that, like, yes, there's going to be a player that picks up Flesh and Blood, takes Tekla Volson and gets 46-0'd by Dromai, right? Like, that has probably happened a non-zero amount of times, and that person is no longer playing the game, and probably for a good reason.
Yeah.
Right? If they just felt that connection with that hero and refused to give something else a try. Right?
Yeah.
Now, is that like 10% of the player base? Of course not, right? But like, it's a safe assumption. I would say that there's probably a number in the hundreds of players that have been kind of like, I want to use maybe alienated by the illusionist or wizard class because they didn't feel like they had the ability to interact, right?
And Starvo when it came out or was existing.
Yep.
Yeah, they just get Starvoed.
Yeah, and so that, but the part that I missed was like, I think we can come to the logical conclusion of that there is a loss there. But at the same time, it creates depth within the game and it prevents the situation of like, oops, all mid-range kind of situation. Where, you know, like, imagine if Illusionist and Wizard did not exist. It would kind of be, everybody would be dual wielding warriors or fatigue guardian, and there wouldn't, and then there would be some like, and then there would be like some Viscera hanging out trying to pick on the guardians, right? Like that would be that would be the meta, because there'd be no reason to play anything else. And I think that there is a loss due to the polarization, but I think the positive of that results in a net positive for the game. So it does suck. 90-10s are horrible, and we will lose players due to those experiences, but we will save and acquire way more because we will have a more healthy metagame due to everybody not playing good math deck that's grindy. Yeah.
Do you have anything you wanted to add to this, Kevin, before I did?
I guess I would be like halfway curious where like a Pouncing Lynx Katsu kind of fits into that sort of triangle. Is like, at what point is that enough to break the math? And then I guess like, because it's we're talking about like polarization at like the cost of or a healthy metagame at the cost of polarization. Like, is this a healthier amount of polarization than Prism Oldhim was?
So that was one of the topics that got brought up during the stream. Was Pierre, really solid player. I think he's in like the North Carolina area. You might know him.
Was he moved up to the Northeast, I believe, fairly recently.
Yeah, and so he mentioned, he said, hey, the polarization existed back when Oldhim and Prism was around. I didn't care because I was playing Briar, so I didn't have a dog in the fight kind of situation. But like, nobody really had an issue at that point in time. And he said, why? And I was like, that's a really good question. Why would we have an issue now, but not then, right? And the only logical line that we could draw for that example is it's an issue of relativity, right? So you have a situation where Chain's doing busted stuff, Starvo's doing busted stuff, Prism's doing busted stuff, Combo Viscera's doing busted stuff. So like, nobody cares about the word Spectra. Who cares when people are flipping over 15 cards with Sonata and shackling 7 cards and Oakenold for 11, ruin your next turn? Like, nobody cares. But when people are going to card 7, then Spectra is like a feel bad, right? Like, it's a different environment.
ALS Genesis Shariah is a hell of a thing. Like,
so the same problem exists, but it's not relative to anything else. Therefore, it becomes an outlier, and people notice it and point fingers at it, and it becomes a noticeable issue. Is the only conclusion we could come to.
We only understand, like, our eyes only understand color based on context of color around it, and in that same sense, you know, what is a healthy meta can kind of depend on what's in the meta. That's a stretch. Anyways, the point that I wanted to bring up was not that. The point that I wanted to bring up was churn in general, right? So when I first started playing the game, I played a couple of the Blitz precons. It was the middle of the pandemic, and they were like, well, if you want to go, you want to try out an armory? And I was like, cool, what do I need? A webcam. Okay, all right, gotcha. Got a webcam. And I played my first game with a Viscerite deck that had no Majestics in it, and I played against a Prism deck where it was almost all promo cards. And I proceeded to get 40-0'd. It was disgusting. He did a double tome turn. Holy frick. Like the light tome or whatever.
Divinity, yeah.
It was gross. I'm still here.
Right.
unfortunately. And another example I was going to make, we were talking about Teklovos, and we had a local at my store, and he was getting super jazzed about the game. Like he just super excited when he heard about the game. He was like, I really want to try this. And he was like, I know what I want to play. I want to play Iron Man. Right. And we also have Mara as a regular local in our area. And he had a lot of unfortunate games. However, I mean, Mara and a lot of our community, very open and welcoming, explain, well, this is kind of how this matchup goes. This is not representative of the entire meta. The whole game isn't Dromai versus Teklovossen. Teklovossen had one auto win when he first came out, like about exactly one, which was when I played Blockout Bravo. So like it wasn't completely lost, but and he still plays today. He's been playing Dash.io a lot lately. But I do think churn is a natural part of every game, which is why every game needs to be trying to bring in new people. You have to bring in new people at a faster rate of churn, and you have to just you have to bring them in at a faster rate of churn in order to keep the game alive. I mean, there's other things you have to do too, but new player experience is always important. I don't know. That's what I was going to bring up. Is like some people will play the game for the first time and have a bad time, and that might not be the problem as long as it's definitely not everyone. Right? There's a reasonable amount of people who are getting into the game right now, and they're like, Dorinthia looks really cool. And then they find out Dorinthia's pretty good and simple, and it's a pretty good time for them. Do you want
to... I started on Icelander, and that was like 2 months after Uprising.
Yep.
And Bullander came out, and it just clicked.
Yeah.
And I was in a good spot. Yeah. But... do you want me to go before we move on to the second half of the statement? Do we want to go grab someone? Yeah. All right, I'll be right back.
Yeah. Oh man.
Who is this caller? Who is this?
I don't know. Says he knows you. So
yeah, probably.
Nepotism. Holy frick! No, it's only one of the best players in North America.
Yep. The good old Joshua Lau.
Okay. All right. Caller, what's your name and where you're calling from?
What's up, guys? This is Josh Lau from down the road, Alabama. Just a little bit away from Nathan. By a little bit, I mean 2 hours.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that's so interesting. Nathan's been telling us all about you.
Yep. Brand new player to Flesh and Blood. He got me into the game.
Yep. Did he start you on Teklovossen?
Yeah, he recommended it, but I went with fine.
So what do you want to talk about on the show?
Well, I watched Nathan's stream yesterday. I tuned into most of it.
You were in it. You were like basically in it because it was like everything he was saying. He was like, "Oh yeah, Josh, yeah." Yeah. Yeah. I see what you're saying there.
Yeah, we actually have similar personalities. We have similar trains of thought and everything. And I have a background in several card games, whereas Nathan, this is his first card game. And one of the things about Magic the Gathering, which is the primary game that I used to play, is that the metagame to a great degree kind of self-corrects. Obviously, there does need to be some bans. We've seen power creep over time. But in general, because of especially in the Eternal formats, like Modern or Pioneer, the equivalent of CC or LL or what?
LL is probably
better. CC is also Eternal, but to some degree. But basically, because of the card pool depth, there's generally an answer. So let me give some examples. So if we look at Dusk Till Dawn, a lot of these cards, I'm just gonna pull out Bolton cards because that's my bread and butter. Warrior, cards right? Not Fi. I don't play Fi. So cards like Cleansing Light on paper look really, really, really bad, right? But it had a specific purpose. It was to destroy certain auras, like the blue cleansing light did have its purpose.
Holy frick!
Cards like Later Rest. If Leviathan became really popular, this card would actually be decent against them because it prevents a little bit of their damage output on the flip. It's also blocks for 3.
I've never heard of these cards in my entire life. I've ever looked it up. I didn't draft this set yet, so.
I guess one of the simplest examples is like, because they haven't printed that many cards relative, like the game is relatively new. Like you look at how many cards is an average hero able to play. They might have like 250 cards that they can play, but realistically 80% of them suck. So their card pool is like 45.
Are you telling me yellow Yinty Yanty is not playable?
No, it's a lot of heroes can't make auras, so that's like the simplest example from Dust Till Dawn that I could give you is like in the past, Bolton used to have to run Nimblism. So you go Nimblism, Bolt of Courage, Charge, and now you could give it go again, whether they block or not block. LSS printed Charge of the Light Brigade. Simple upgrade for Nimblism. So overall, we're going to see LSS printing more cards that supplement the generic cards, but we're also going to see an increase in like Silver Bullets. Dorinthia Silver Bullets, like Chorus of Iron Song, is one of the simplest ones. Chorus of Iron Song is really good. Like the original one was Twinning Blade. It's like, oh, you play against a very defensive deck that wants to block a lot, you have Twinning Blade. You play against a hero with lots of ward, you have Chorus of Iron Song. Yeah, and yeah, I just think that as they print, like in 2024, they're going to print 3 sets. They might go up to 4 sets, but they're going to print some supplemental sets and like armory decks and stuff like that. So we're going to have an increase in cards coming into the game. We're going to have an increase in the expansion slots coming into the game. So in theory, we should see a lot of these Silver Bullet cards, which will help reduce those 90-10 matchups. Overall, I think it's just because the game is too young. They haven't had time to print. Example, Chorus of Iron Song until recently.
Yeah, so I pulled up on February the card distribution, and it does kind of prove your point a little bit, right? So like this hero or this class, including weapons, including heroes, including equipment, and all their class cards, Bard only has 20 cards. So like it's like completely not viable at all, right? I mean, like it's missing a lot of things.
Bard only has 20 cards.
Yep. That UPF Yorick. Tier 0 Yorick.
Yeah.
Melody.
Another example is that like in Everfest, like prior to Everfest, dual wielding warriors did not exist. Like you could have tried to play Kasai, but like
and people did.
You don't. Yeah, some people tried. Yeah, like without Slice and Dice, Blade Runner in the swing Outland Skirmish, it's just like, what are you doing? So I think we just need to give LSS some time to print more cards. Now the thing is, obviously, if we stay in a state where there's a lot of 90-10 matchups, will we get to that point where we have a deep enough card pool? Who knows?
But I mean, I also think it might happen at an even slower rate at this point if we're not having supplemental sets, because it's not like in a supplemental set you could argue they could put an entire, or they could start like the embers of an entire like class archetype, right? This is a bad example, but like Guardian with the shields from, was it Dynasty?
Yeah, it was Dynasty.
So many offhand cards, offhand related cards, all of them not great currently yet.
They literally did not get any support in Dynasty. I'm looking through the card pool now.
No, I have played Blue Shield Wall once.
If you guys know what Withstand Yellow does off the top of your head, you win this round of Jeopardy.
He does.
I do.
He does. I guarantee
sure Kevin
he does.
Because Kevin just does all the game shows we do.
All right. How much resources does Withstand cost?
1. 2? I thought it was 1. Frick.
2 because it curves with Rampart.
Yeah, 2's Rampart. Yeah.
Frick. Wow. No, I guess I don't. Kevin does. Kevin, trivia master / historian. Holy frick.
Yeah. Yes. So Nathan, do you think that there's just like a lack of cards in the game? There's just not enough silver bullets, so you can't even put them in the sideboard? Like a lot of the 90-10 matchups can be solved with sideboarding to some degree, if certain cards existed.
Yeah, I agree with the premise. All right, so let's just for the sake of the conversation, let's use the example of playing Kano into Prism, because that's what I've mentioned the most during my stream was, that's like a 95-5, right? And so they could print a card that says, you can target aura on the field with arcane. They could do that, right? But instead they chose to print the 4th copy of Zap in the form of Aether Arc. Is that the newest edition that nobody asked for, nobody needed, right? Like we can be honest with ourselves that was like the most fluff card on the planet, right? Like they are like, oh, we need a wizard card.
Resident Wizard, did we need that?
Just do that. The Minefield card, right? Like that. Come on, right? Like that one's never seen the light of day. Now, they've had 2 opportunities to kind of edge in to a 90-10 matchup, right? They don't need another blue 1 ping. They don't need the Minefield card. Although I'll give credit to the Minefield. It might have some application later on for a different hero or something like that. I'll concede that point. But the blue Aether Flash, like when they printed that card, it was a signal went off in my head, and I was like, okay, they're abandoning the class as far as support goes until like a wizard set drops, and like they're gonna like have a major shift within the class.
Could be next.
It could be, and maybe it is, but it just
next set, I guess.
Yeah, and they haven't revealed a wizard card, right? For the
not yet.
Not for
the new, yeah. So I would be willing to bet that it's not going to be like a home run card. It's going to be a barely get on first base kind of card. And that's because it's probably for a good reason, because if they print something that's too good, then it has to play nicely with Wildfire and stuff like that. Like, I understand why they're doing it. I don't disagree with that. So there's clearly a 95-5 problem between Kano and Prism. They've had 2 and what will be 3 opportunities to help remedy that with expansion slot cards, and they have actively chose not to do so.
I have a question. Actually, wait, did you have something you want to say, Kevin?
Nope.
Okay, I have a question. Out of all of, we'll just say hero matchups that do not include a current illusionist or wizard, how many are 90-10?
The only one I can think of off the top of my dome is probably Phi into Victor.
What? Phi Victor.
Phi Victor is like
is bad.
Phi Victor.
Teklo Guardian is not 90-10. Is definitely polarized. But
yeah. Is that
but that kind of match, you can get some advantage with sideboarding, right? Like you can do buckling blow, buckle. There is some play. Is it going to work? Probably not. But you can at least attempt something. You're not
How about Phi Victor?
Limited by design. Phi Victor it's really just this hero is trying to do this thing, this hero is trying to do this thing, and it's like rock paper scissors.
Would you define that as would you define that as a polarizing matchup?
Yes.
Yeah.
Is it a problem?
I would.
Yep.
In the same sense as Prism Kano?
Well, it's interesting because it's not a design issue. It's so theoretically, one could overcome this, right?
Okay.
Let's say that you could build a Phi deck that did like Kodachi 1 for 5 Mask of Momentum build. That has game into Victor because he would have to effectively use his clash cards on one of the Kodachis to then evaluate whether the card he drew was going to give him the ability to extract more value or declare it a dead card on the attack that actually matters. So you present like an interesting problem against that hero. Now, Kano into Prism, you just can't do that. You can run attacks, but you're still going to lose.
We were talking about that before stream, Kevin. Like, is this something Kanos are actively trying to figure out, or are they just cope?
There are some rumors of Kanos trying to gigastack Prism, where they run like a bunch of 7 power poppers and all the D-reacts so that they get to like just essentially block all the heralds. But I think a decent Prism can kind of get around that. Like even if like the Kanos are running Talishar to kill Genesis as well, like it feels like there's ways around that because like you just
that
drop
sounds like a lot of sideboard slots. Well, I guess they have a lot. They have a lot.
It is the entire sideboard.
They don't have a sideboard right now.
It's like kind of. It is definitely a significant number of sideboard slots. A lot of Kanos right now are already on Gigastack, so they have the D-reacts to cover the heralds that they can't pop. So like it's half their sideboard, and then it's still just like you can't run enough 7 power poppers to actually stop Prism. Right. I think like I'm not convinced as someone who's played both of them, like you can't full sideboard that and not destroy your other matchups. Like
you could put it this way. I asked Majin Bay, what if you dedicated all 15 slots to the Prism matchup? No other hero existed. You just have the main Kano main board that you have to run into everything else. And you dedicate all 15 slots, what can you get the number to? He said maybe 15.
Yeah.
He said maybe 15. And I was like, is that like to the point to where it's like pushing you off the hero literally? He said yes.
Okay, let's say there's no easier way for me to ask this question, but let's say Icelander was in the format. Does Icelander have a problem with this Prism? Would another hero example that we've seen in the same class also have that problem? Right, because sometimes we'll talk about, Guardian feels this way into this matchup, even though Victor and Bravo do fairly different things. Like, I mean, they live in the same sphere, obviously, but they play the game a little differently.
But like Fi has a way better matchup into Bravo than he does into Victor.
Yeah, it's like almost 50-50. Right.
Yeah. So like, I guess my point being is like, that's a different wizard. If that was actually my point I forgot earlier, which was
interesting.
Is there not enough wizards right now? It's the only class with like one hero in it, right?
We went over this like last week.
We went over this a little bit last week. I think it's the only class with one hero in it right now. Correct me if I'm wrong.
I think so.
All the pro players. You tell me.
That's the only one.
So is it a problem with wizards just dried up on heroes?
I mean, like this is Kano designed in Arcane Rising. Prism has LL'd and lapped him and is now back up to 250 points in basically 2 months.
The way you word that, it sounds so sad.
I mean, she literally lapped Levia. So,
oh my God.
So what I'm hearing is that we need adult Emperor.
Yes. We need adult Emperor and adult.
He died.
Oh, rip.
One, there's a lore issue.
Yeah, that lore issue. I know.
Somebody's got like a necromancer's gonna have to like raise him up.
You can fix this all in post, like with the lore, because it's like a ghost of the dead emperor or something like that. I don't know.
No, you just ban Regicide.
True.
You ban the
multiverse.
The art never happened if it's banned.
Yep.
Everybody knows.
Holy frick.
I think Icelander would have better game into Prism. I think it is still a very unfavored matchup because I think into Icelander, Prism doesn't go for Rapture Beatdown. She just goes for Vestige and just says, you can't stop me from doing this. All of your attack actions no longer matter. You can't kill Angels plus Genesis plus whatever. All your frostbites also deal 1 to you because of Merciful. Also, if all the prisms are just going to Iris, you just 100% lose that matchup. Like,
is it a
outright?
Let's say they don't go to Iris. Is it 90-10?
Maybe 85-15, 80-20 at best.
80-20 at best. Like, since with
is that how we described Victor Teklevossen?
Pretty much.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
It's in that range.
I think my stance is we need more wizards, and I'm sure Twitter would love that.
I mean, like we only technically for this month we only have one illusionist.
True. Exactly. Right? For a short period of window, we will not have Dromai.
Yes.
Before we gain Enigma.
The last time we had that discussion, I think, was before Dromai LL, actually.
Wow.
So yeah.
Interesting.
Wow. I don't know.
What was it? Mr. Lau. Is there anything else you wanted to talk about?
No, I think that kind of wraps it up. I do have a hot take, but maybe we'll save it for next week because I do need to go.
Tell us what the hot take is. Like, hype me up.
It's that most people suck defensively because they don't know the card pool in the game.
Yep.
Sounds right.
All right, we've covered that topic. Thank you so much. No, I'd love to talk about that next week. I would love to talk about that next week. Someone else made a different take that it reminded me of, and I think it'd be interesting. I think that's actually a really interesting conversation. But thank you so much for coming on. Is there anything you want to shout out? Like our Patreon?
Yeah, sure. Join the Table Pits Patreon. Join the Card Guys Patreon. That'd be nice too.
Join the Card Guys Patreon, please.
Yeah.
Holy frick.
If you see myself or Nathan at events where friendly people, come up, say hi to us. I've been I bought a ton of warrior foils while I was in Asia, and so I'm putting them into the 2024 Dory sleeves that I printed. And you come up and say hi to me. I'm going to shuffle them and give you one randomly.
Holy frick, that is hype. That's super cool.
You're going to get a warrior foil. You might get, let's see, I got all of them over here. Let's see. You could get a red edge ahead. That's not bad. A steel blade shot.
Oh.
Yellow Blade Runner. Not bad. Yeah.
Route.
Of course, we have every copy of Route. I even bought a Spirit of Arena as well. A Lumina Ascension.
Oh my gosh.
Giving out
Winning Blade.
Left and right.
Whoa.
Singing Steel Blade. Here, I have 8 copies of Foil Route. So,
As any good player should.
Yeah. Come up, say hi to me, and I'll give you one.
I really appreciate having you on. It's great talking to you.
Yep.
I love watching you on stream. Have a good rest of your evening.
Appreciate it. Yep. Thank you. I'm gonna go play some Civ 6. The guys are like, "Why are you not in the game, Josh? Come on." So I gotta go play some Civ 6. I'll join you next week, and I'll share my hot take next week.
Oh my gosh.
All right. Yeah. Take care. Have a good show. Bye.
You too? Yeah, have a good time at your show. Anyways. All right. That was awesome. That's super cool. So real quick before we pull Taylor in 3 minutes, I was going to shout out, since last time we got followed by Minxterella, Wumplord, and Charmer. I think he's that guy who's never been on
you mean Tannen?
Tannen Grace? Yeah.
Tannen Grace.
Yeah.
Charmer? Yeah. I always knew him as the guy who's never been able to actually make it onto Fresh and Buds. I love that show. Oh man. Holy frick. Charmer's great. No, I like Charmer though. Anyways, that was hype. The conversation is just really interesting. Right? So I watched your stream yesterday. Or I didn't watch it yesterday. I watched it today. But it was good. It was an interesting take. I like listening to people slowly fall into like a deranged madness and come out of it. No, it was good though. It was good. It was interesting.
That's pretty accurate though. That's pretty accurate.
No, and to be passionate about the game like that is a good thing. regardless which direction it is, right? So, you mentioned that it might not be healthy long term for the game if people keep having negative streams like that. But I've always viewed things like that as it's people who want it to be better. I think Flesh and Blood's, especially like meta wise, it feels awesome where you can just do kind of whatever you want and find new things and really think about like, what am I expecting at this ProQuest right now?
So actually, I'm going to do my best to segue that into the second half of Nathan's point, where this meta is actually a little bit weird when you try and prepare for it, because there's too many things to I went through this whole thought process like the last 2 days of there's too many things to prepare for, which means you just have to do something that is good raw numbers or just like raw power, and you can't care about what your opponent is doing to a degree where it's like your deck just has to do something powerful, and if it doesn't, you shouldn't be playing the deck. And there's too many other things in the meta to target the meta for you to make your deck in a way that targets the meta. You're going to add some 7 power poppers for Prism. You can add time snaps or skippers for Prism, and that helps because like those matchups are wild without them. Yeah. But like that's the most targeting it feels like you can do, where it's like good Kanos are just giga stacking you and killing you through double Oasis. It doesn't matter. But then this ends up in this other place where it's like, if you're just doing something powerful and you don't care what your opponent is doing, you end up in a place that Nathan talked about where it's like, there isn't interaction because what you're doing doesn't care about what your opponent is doing, and vice versa.
It's interesting, right? So it's like bring counterspell, don't bring the 2-mana. Bring counterspell, like counter target spell, not bring counter target non-creature spell. Even though it's cheaper.
Right.
Yeah.
So, do you want to grab our next guest?
Yeah. What are we? Oh gosh, what is? I'll see what he's talking about, man. All right.
So
the reluctance to get the other Crawford. The reluctance.
All right, I'm gonna tag his hot take. Oh, he's talked about this before. God dang it, frick.
Who? A rotating format?
Taylor. Yeah, it is rotating format. Counterspell versus negate versus force and negation. Dude, just run negate every single time. No, Ruv, dude. Is this the team Discord? No, it's the Pit Against Call In Discord. Ruv, call in. Is Ruv Lucas? Do I keep forgetting? We just got a follow from Endangered Gaming. Do you know who that is? Is that a friend of yours? Gaming?
It doesn't ring a bell.
Okay. Yeah, Lucas. I'm so sorry, Lucas. I am so bad with names, especially when your name is Ruv120. His take is going to be Ruv120.
What is Taylor's photo?
Lucas, I forget every single week he
sure
listens to this, and I'm like, the frick is Ruv? I'm so sorry.
Ruv?
Oh man. I just always run negate. That's my opinion. Always run negate. Creatures can't hurt you. Spells can. It looks like we have another caller. Caller, what's your name and where are you calling from?
Hey, I'm Taylor Crawford. I'm calling from North Carolina.
That's awesome. What do you want to talk about on the show?
I would like to talk about the rotation of Flesh and Blood.
It is rotating. Go ahead. Elaborate on it.
Okay, I think that we at one point in time in the next probably year to year and a half, we should have a rotating format, either like Magic's Extended, or we can rotate out staple generics once we have a big enough card pool.
Why?
Okay.
Well, because if you look at Legacy and Magic the Gathering, it is a format dominated by Brainstorm and Force of Will because they refused to ban those cards earlier in the format's creation, causing it is a pillar of the community card, which makes it essentially unbannable. if we continue down that way, we will have cards like CNC and E-Strike, Tome of Findel, Remembrance, Snatch, E-Pot, even Scar for Scar, Unmovable, Think Below, Fapercene, heck, even Nimblism if you want to go down that deep, where they're like, well, we can't ban those cards because it is a staple of the format. It is what Flesh and Blood is based around. So it is easier to pull up the Band-Aid now than in 5 years whenever every deck's like, oh, well, we can't ban that card. It helps this pillar of a deck. It's like, well, we could have just removed it at an earlier time.
That's interesting. Before we dive too deep, their name is our first time chatter is Wesley Brown. Do you know Wesley Brown?
He's in the Card Guys Discord. Yep.
Oh, that's awesome. All right, hey, if you want to chat this week or next on this call-in show, Kevin's got your link in somewhere.
Should be in there.
Can you tell me why Nimblism needs to be banned? I'm sorry. Frick. I'm having a hard time here. Oh, actually, no, I do want to bring up something real quick. Nathan, you said on stream, someone was asking, I forgot what the question they had. You were just kind of rattling through chat really quickly, and you were like, a 2 for 6 with Go again. No, we can't have that. That's too strong. And I was thinking, slogism?
Double Nimblism?
Slogism?
Well, but it has a condition
slogism costs
on
3, doesn't it? It costs 3, doesn't it?
It does.
Okay,
yes.
never mind. It's a terrible card. Ban it anyways, says Taylor.
So I mean, Taylor does have like a good basis for a point, right? Like you have a situation where these have become staples, right? And for good reason, right? Like Sink Below is what most people would consider like, as far as like cards that go in your deck, one of the strongest in the game.
I start every deck with Sink Below.
Right, and it's just a really strong card, and it does invalidate a lot of other cards, right? That it basically sets the bar where if they ever make a Ranger defense reaction, that's not a trap. What is the card? Take cover.
Oh, take cover, yeah.
Right. So you kind of like invalidate that card, right? Because you would rather run Fate Foreseen and get the opt for the arrow if you're Azalea, or filter a Bricked Hand or something like that. So you just completely invalidate that card. So like I understand the argument. The problem is not every class has the equivalent of take cover, right? Name one mechanologist defense reaction, and there isn't one.
Well, technically,
Firewall.
This is not a defense reaction, but we do have...
That's a block card.
Yeah, with a block. But wouldn't it be better to have a foresight of, hey, we're going to ban these cards next year. Why don't we have a supplemental set, maybe an armory set, where we're going to send each store 64 replacements for these cards for the classes that don't have an equivalent, and that way we can pass them out to everybody. Everybody gets them, and that way we can ban these cards that will be, generically too strong.
Maybe they could put in an armory deck.
Armory decks are like $75. That's a bad idea.
They're $40.
No,
I bought 2 today for $70. Not today. Tomorrow.
Each?
No.
Separately. Pre-ordered.
No. Combined.
$70 for 2 of them together.
You paid $35 for an armory deck.
Yeah.
You literally robbed somebody.
Yeah.
Their children are not eating tonight because of you.
It was our local game store.
Oh man. Yeah, Savage Stash is gonna be literally cost more than the armory deck.
I'll
when
it's
it releases
in 2.0.
It's gonna be worse.
Now to be fair, my LGS has already got a pre-sale sold on TCG Player for $75 as well. So maybe it's just we're tight, but
Yeah. But like I was saying, another thing that happens whenever you don't rotate cards like this is to sell packs, you will have to power creep cards. So you will have to create a Think Below, but a little bit better for an assassin, and so forth and so on, causing slow power creep. If you ban the cards that are generically strong in every class, you can make more specific niche interactions for classes without power creeping as quickly. A good example is Take Aim. It's better in Azalea, good there. But if you look at Think Below, that's generically a hard bar to go over. for a class. You will print like you want to look at like what is a good card that is almost stronger than Sink Below in that slot? I'm trying to think. Is it even possible?
Just as like a zero cost.
Riptide reacts.
Yeah.
Yeah, Steelblade Shunt is a good example.
Shunt,
We can get a lot of value out
Riptide.
of Shunt.
The
Yeah.
Riptide specs are like.
Well, those are just insane. Like
I mean,
value-wise,
but,
those
like,
cards are just nuts.
But like that's like where you have to get to is like some of those traps with Riptide ability is like what you have to do to get over Sink Below. It's like you can just like Pitfall trap or
is synergy
like
how you
Pitfall,
get
just,
over
like,
them?
probably.
Hero synergy, is that how you get over?
Yeah. I mean,
it is, but it's hard to have defensive synergy. I mean, we saw the very first example of that in the Bolton deck, where you have, if you've charged this turn, is the first like defensive synergy we've seen.
But it's like, how many pieces did they need to put in place for those cards to actually be relevant? Soul Bond has been a thing since Dusk Till Dawn, plus the Banneret that also gives +1 block also was Dusk Till Dawn. Like, it's been 3 sets since we saw those cards.
The thing is that the base that you guys are going off of is Sink Below, which is already the issue within itself. Like you comparing we don't get this enough defense power because look at Sink Below, it's already doing the job. Well, that is the issue itself. It is almost like a self-fulfilling prophecy. Well, we can't do it because then Sink Below is better. We'll just ban Sink Below and print some things that are a little bit weaker.
I can kind of understand that a little bit.
Is this the same argument for Tunic, I assume?
Tunic's weird. I don't know how to feel about Tunic.
It's like, no, not my baby Tunic.
No.
Her.
They could ban Tunic today and that'd be great.
Okay.
The issue with Tunic.
At least you're consistent. I appreciate that.
Yeah, like I'm okay with Tunic being gone. The issue with Tunic being gone is that card is so. I'm very indifferent on banning it because it is a great card, but it's unironically a pillar of the game. It is all new players come in and go, oh, I got a Tunic today. I'm ready to play Flesh and Blood, and that's the issue.
It's the staple legendary.
It's a checkpoint.
That's
like it's literally a checkpoint in your Flesh and Blood career.
Yeah. It itself has become what I fear cards like Sink Below and Snatch and E-Strike will become in the future. Which is like, oh, well, we can't ban it because it's E-Strike, or we can't ban it because it's Art of War. We can't ban it because it's in that kind of like ordeal.
Yeah.
Now, during your statement, you pointed out that they had 2 options that they could go down. They could either do what you're suggesting or have the incremental power creep to kind of make those cards synergistic / irrelevant because they just produce more value in certain classes. Now, if I recall correctly, it was the dev interview that they did at Pro Tour LA where Brian, he had a write-up and he posted it, and he said basically there are going to be some cards in the Armory deck and Part the Mistveil that is going to be better than cards that have continuously been the check mark. And he gave an example of Snapdragon Scalers, Tunic, stuff like that. So I think they've already said which direction they're taking.
Yes. Now, is that good or bad though?
Interesting.
Well, that I guess we'll find out, right?
Okay. Fun game for everybody. How many Mistveil heroes will be in the top 8 at US Snaps? I'm not trying to be funny. How many?
Like
all 3. Like
wait. You mean how many slots are they filling, or how many of the 3 will make it in?
All 3 are going to be in the top 8, and if they're good. But I'm letting you know how many of the top 8 are Mistveil heroes, are new, Zen, or Enigma. How many of the top 8?
I mean, not seeing anything yet. I'm gonna guess at least 2.
See,
I'm gonna say 1 Zen.
Oh, you mean that? Thanks, Nathan.
It's you actually. It's Taylor on his Zen. In
I think we're
talking US Nats, right?
Yes.
I'm gonna say 2.
2 weeks post release.
Yeah, 2 weeks post release.
2.
If I had to guess, face value for like 2 weeks after the set release, it's going to be either 1 Zen, 1 Enigma, or 2 Zen, and that's it.
I don't think Enigma will be. I think Enigma will be the worst one out of the gate, but the strongest one in 6 months.
Sure.
I mean, maybe.
Illusionist does that. Illusionist does that, where
Right,
it's like,
of course.
Yeah.
oh, it's bad, but then it's good actually this whole time, and we were just too stupid. Dang it, we shouldn't have been playing. What's the 6 attack dragon the whole time? Vincerakai. Oh my god.
Or Vincerakai.
Yeah.
Either of those.
We should have been playing these the whole time. Oh my gosh. That's how it works.
Yep.
Yeah. Oh, we should have been playing lunging press and Enigma.
We should have been
Oh, it's a blue.
Lunging press.
No, it's just a.
Yellow Yanti Yanti.
Blue Yinti Yanti.
There was a different so you brought that up because we should have rotation? I missed the
Okay.
crux of the statement.
Okay, all this is revolved around. I believe that we should have a soft rotation of older generics, or even, and I hate doing it this way. If you guys ever play Magic, we should have an extended format from 2.0 onwards.
So like their equivalent of like Pioneer.
Yes, but like I'm
Sort of.
talking in the next 3 years, not today.
Yeah.
But like after we get 9 more sets of them realizing they were going to do it, I think that would be a smarter idea for the longevity of the game.
So I'm pretty sure, correct me if I'm wrong, the first semblance of Pioneer was like a local community came up with the concept and played it a couple of times and it caught on.
Oh, I have no idea about Pioneer.
I made that up completely, but it only starts with one person, and that person could be you.
That's way too much work. I am a very lazy person.
So like it would be what? Outsiders forward?
Maybe
Dynasty?
Uprising.
Yeah.
No, not Uprising.
Uprising with Icelander and Dromai.
No, not Uprising.
Well, no. So like weakness, I just want the card pool from Uprising. I love the card pool from Uprising. The heroes can do whatever.
Okay.
Yeah. We just take that card pool Uprising up,
Uprising
and then maybe I hate saying this, but like a Pioneer Masters where you go, well, here's Spinal Crush. You can play this in the extended format, and cards that are going to be crucial to heroes and stuff like that. Oh my god, I'm going off of a tangent here. I'm like going into a completely different I will write.
Let's go a different direction with a similar premise, right? So I was thinking about this yesterday, or maybe it was the day before, where I was like, I'm really excited for 15 years from now. I'm a multimillionaire YouTuber. Card Guys is now larger than the Wolfpack, and I can finally build my mono CNC brute deck where I have strength rules all, I have CNC, I have set packing, I have Wreck Havoc, and I have a bunch of other cards, and it's just all the reds and all the blue or yellows. It's actually it's all yellows and reds because they're all
2 cost.
And I have scab skins, and every turn I roll and I go CNC Wreck Havoc.
Promise of Plenty. Put a card back in your arsenal. Destroy it again.
Well, the whole point of the deck is
Codex for another one.
There's so many different Arsenal hate 2-for-6s. I can build an entire deck of them. Is that a problem?
No, just don't Arsenal against you. It's easy.
No, I mean not like as a deck. It's a Reinhardt deck because he ever. No, it's a UPF deck. God dang it. I run Time Skippers. If I ever get to put one in Arsenal and then I get a 5-card hand, just guarantee it.
They finally banned scabs.
They banned scabs in UPF, yeah.
You know how angry I'd be? Like this theoretically what you're talking about. Do you know how angry I'd be? Like my opponent goes, okay, Cast Bones, 6. Okay, my turn, CNC you for 12. Oh, you got hit. Promise of Plenty at you. Lunging Press it, CNC you. It's like, okay, cool. Nice.
Can be in a hand, but yes. Maybe
the worst part about that transaction is Promise of Plenty is like a free card, so you don't actually extract value.
Yeah. But the Promise of Plenty actually, not Codex.
It demoralizes your opponent
and then kicks it.
It demoralizes your opponent, which is way more important.
Yeah, but is could there be a problem in the distant future of like a deck that's there's so many of a kind of card that an entire deck can be homogenous? Like
that's what Briar was.
Yeah. That's
she was all the 0/4s. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Are those decks a problem?
A lot of people complained about Briar. I loved her.
Is there
really
I mean, yes, a lot of people.
No,
people complain about Briar. Yes.
You don't say.
Really?
I don't know why, but yeah, people had a problem with it.
Okay, question right now, Nathan. If LSS comes to you tomorrow, if you get a back tattoo of Briar, we'll print one in this set. Would you get it?
Yeah, of course.
In a heartbeat.
Yeah.
What?
That
You didn't even hear the first part of the question. They just said, if blank do Briar, and he was just like, yeah.
I literally had 2 kids in case LSS requested one of them for Briar. So I had the backup. Like, that's the whole reason I had 2 kids. I didn't stop at one.
Oh my god.
It's the whole reason.
It's genius. This is why he's a pro player. We're not.
You got to think about these things years in advance.
TCG players and they're pre-planning.
Yeah. My youngest is my LL Hedge.
Sorry, sweetheart. James White needs you.
Oh, frick.
We broke the internet.
You broke Kevin at least.
Oh,
frick. Oh my gosh. Clip that? You clip it. Oh,
yeah.
Frick.
Clip that.
I have no room to speak. My cat's name is Bramble.
I thought I was giving you.
I didn't want to mention that. I was gonna wait a little bit longer.
I thought I was giving you ammo by talking about the mono CNC deck and being like, yeah, there's too many of the same kind of card. Rotate. But everyone was like, nah, that's funny. I love it. Ship it.
Do it.
We'll have a mono CNC set. All the cards say something to do with the opponent's arsenal.
I mean, that's essentially what Yuzuri is becoming, slowly but surely.
Well, yeah. I mean, Brute's kind of doing it, right? So they got 3 2-for-6s that conditionally blow up arsenal. And then there's also the generic. Or
all I hear is that we need Crown of Seeds back.
2 generics. Anyways. Yes. I'm glad we came to that conclusion.
No.
Thank you so much for the call. Is there anything you want to shout out?
Get him out of here.
Okay, I am joking a little bit. I do want to circle back around to it. It's like, I mean, rotation. I'm still not convinced on rotation, like at least for CNC. Maybe like a different format, like as you brought up.
Like I could. We'll come back in 3 more years and we'll have this discussion, and then I'll be like, oh, we banned E-Strike. You're like, but we can't. It's like, okay.
But we can't.
But we can't.
Some people don't even like E-Strike. They're just like, nah, that card's no good.
I mean, they're right, but it's okay.
But then it doesn't need rotating.
That doesn't make it. Okay. Now we're getting like way into the weeds. If we start talking about this, do you ban cards because they're good for the format or bad for the format?
I think we should ban cards because they create unfair or unfun experiences.
Like Warmonger's Diplomacy?
Yes.
No, wait, hold on. I have a lot of fun with that card.
Wait. I think this is a different conversation.
Fun can be interpreted in many different ways, and mine is you don't have fun.
Like CNC and Wreak Havoc and...
I don't mind CNC.
You don't need an arsenal. Let's see.
CNC for 12 sucks.
Kevin, your thoughts on rotation?
I'm okay with... So they've... If they're going to do stuff like Savage Sash, I'm okay with them rotating Tunic. If we like reach the point where every class has a chess piece that replaces it as like a default, but like Alluvian Constellas doesn't count as a replacement for Tunic. It just doesn't. But
that's the next set.
I mean, sure. But
we'll see. Yes, yeah. It'd have to be like class generic too, right? So like it'd have to be like.
What if we just do like?
While.
What if we just do like an expansion slot of the next 4 sets, and it's just like, hey, this is all chest pieces, this is all arm slots, this is all head pieces, and they're like majestic. Yeah, but like majestic versions for every class, and they could be weaker than Teklo Heart and stuff like that. They could be weaker than that,
sure.
But they are all replacements for Tunic as a good player, for like a good start.
I mean, it's like how many brutes are running Crown of Providence or Balance of Justice?
It's a good question.
None.
They're all on Scowling Fleshback.
Yeah, I mean, some lists have a Crown of Providence for like the Guardian matchup for CNC Pommel, but that's it.
Sure.
You're giving them my tech for the weekend? What are you doing?
I mean,
that's like
they've been doing it for
high tech.
Yeah. That's like Dex is running that maybe, but I don't know. But like I'm okay with them potentially like rotating all that stuff out, because it's like part of it is, and I guess this is like why they banned Berserk. This is like the actual reason they banned Berserk is because it limited design space, where they said they couldn't print certain cards because these other cards existed, and they wanted to, like, these cards were more interesting than Berserk combo, so Sash is more interesting than Berserk combo.
Yeah, but doesn't Sash limit design space as well? So you just replace
it's like in reverse, it sort of does, because it says you can't have Berserk. But
now Sash says you can't have another version of Wild Ride. They can never print another 2 for 6 with Go again, or it gets out of hand, right? So you're just saying
Levia has one.
And we're about to see why that's a problem.
You did talk about how that's probably going to be a problem. I want to see it play out. I'm not saying it won't. Yeah. But I'm saying, like, I want to witness it, right? And so LSS has. There's no reason LSS has not tested this, and they feel confident about something in this relationship. They didn't print it, and they're like, this generic brute card will be great, and then they send it out the door, and they're like, frick, wait, did we check Shadow Brute?
Did we check the other brute?
Yeah, did we check the other brute? No, I'm sure they've tested it, and that's what they're trying to do. They're putting Nitro on Levia so that she can catch up to Prism.
Right,
because we talked about how Prism lapped.
They're giving her a bullet bill.
She's in 9th place or 10th place and sending her all the way to the front. Holy!
Thank you for the talk. I have to leave. Thank you guys.
Leave? Okay. Hey, shout outs.
I would like to shout out my mom and my wife. Thank you.
Yes,
my man.
Great response, honestly.
Terrible person. Gosh. Didn't shout out the Patreon.
Yeah, what the frick? Mine or yours? Or does On Hit have a Patreon? No, they don't have a Patreon.
I don't think so.
Yeah.
No, they should.
That was Taylor Crawford from Team On Hit. I gave an outro for him. He did it because he didn't really. Is there let's see, was there anything else we wanted to talk about? On Hit doesn't exist anymore.
It's Team Talishar, right?
It's Team Talishar.
Is it Team Talishar?
Yeah.
Is that a brand sponsorship?
This is what happens when I move away.
I believe so.
That's what happens. Team Talishar.
Tally.
Well, if I go on Twitter and type in Team On Hit. I'm
Twitter.
Oh, I'm the only person following. Never mind. No, they're only following one person. They're only following Crunchyroll. Okay.
Everything makes sense.
All right, now I'm looking up Team Talishar. Please tell me they have Twitter, and please tell me that they.
Probably not.
Nope. They wouldn't post. That was a critique. This is a shout out. They wouldn't post when they would go on Twitch on their Twitter, and I called them out on it, and then they didn't do it still. So hopefully Team Talishar, right, Lucas? Team Talishar. Zach. All right. Was there anything else we wanted to hit at? KO decks are interesting. At $35, it's probably fine.
At $75, probably not.
Yeah.
And also, you're gonna catch shade for buying 2. I'm just putting that out there.
So I pre-ordered one for myself, and I pre-ordered one for Kevin. So we both have.
Oh, then you're safe.
Yeah.
You're safe. Yeah.
The
second you buy more than one,
the
they're
second one
coming.
is mine.
Problem is, I didn't say that earlier, and they're only gonna cut that part out.
Yeah.
No, that one is mine. Making sure I have one this week.
Yeah. Oh, and I'm having mine so that when I go to the Super Armory on Friday, I'm going to open the box round 1 and play it at the Super Armory at Battle Hardened Richmond. And I'm going to pair into a Kano, and then I'll go straight to round 2. Yeah, I'll pair into you and go straight to round 2 because I don't think there's any AB in that set.
Oh, there sure isn't.
There sure isn't. Oh.
So it is 4 equipment, 1 claw, and 60 cards, and the hero card.
Are the boots?
No sideboard.
Beaten
No
trackers?
sideboard.
What are the boots?
I believe it is beaten trackers, which is what I would be running with Sash anyways, I think. Just because
it's interesting. I'm gonna have to look at it at least a little bit before tomorrow. All right.
You probably should.
The only other thing that I wanted to talk about, unless y'all had something you wanted to talk about, was there's a lot of hype for the Bolton Precon, but there's a lot of negativity for the KO Precon, and I'm confused where all the Bolton hype's coming from because we don't know anything about it yet.
Man, I love Bolton.
I guess that is the hype, isn't it?
That's where the hype is.
Well, is there anything else anyone wanted to talk about on the show specifically? No? All right. Well,
I don't know.
The Bolton D-React is Soul Shield with flexibility.
Yeah.
Yep.
Easy.
Combo with Soulbound Resolve, right?
Yep.
Yeah. That's pretty fine.
It's pretty good.
That's pretty fine. It's
solid.
A yellow 2-card 6. That's fine.
2 card 6 plus 1 soul.
Oh, I guess
That's
that is true. Plus the soul. Soul matters. It has
or if you draw 2,
intangible value.
You get like a unity effect if you draw 2 up.
Yeah.
Because you charge once and it turns both of them on.
It sees both of them, yeah.
Yeah.
That's neat. They need more unity. Put unity on more cards.
I do like the unity.
Unity's really good.
Unity's dope.
Unity's dope. All right.
They did a good job with it.
I think that wraps it up. Kevin, do you have any shout outs?
The Patreon.
Yes, we have a Patreon. Richmond. And we're going to SGGCon Richmond. If you're going to Richmond, say something. In person or on the internet. I think that'd be awesome to meet up with people. I'm trying to get games of UPF with a 3,000 card deck box. And it's going to be awesome. It's for up to 75 people.
Yeah.
I have a deck box that holds enough cards for 75 people to play York.
Yeah.
What is it made of?
Wood.
He built it.
Hey.
I'll send you a link. But
you also have
related.
You also have the York playmat.
Yes, I also have
the corresponding playmat.
The corresponding playmat. I took all my favorite playmats and I cut the zones out of them and stitched them all together. That way I can play with all my favorite playmats. Question: how many playmats do you own? Is it more than 5?
Oh,
is it more than 10?
I got 5 behind me.
Is it more than 10?
Yeah.
Is it more than 20?
We're getting there, but I think it's more.
You should make a Frankenmat. You should cut
it's
your
actually
mats
not a bad idea.
Right? Okay, there we go. Holy crap.
Yeah, as long as you could do it like really well, you could find like a way to do it. That way it's not all like bumpy on the surface, you know, like it has to be like still smooth.
Yeah, that would be awesome, wouldn't it?
Yeah,
as long as you do that, would be great. That
yeah,
would be
super cool. Someone should do that. I don't know who, but someone should do that.
Sorry, I didn't mean to call you out.
I gotta send you some links. Holy frick, we gotta get you caught up on the lore. Anyways, if y'all want to hang out with me and play UPF or lose to Kevin, you should go to Richmond this weekend. And Nathan, thank you so much for coming on.
Absolutely.
Shout yourself out. Shout the team.
Yeah. Card guys, we got a spoiler coming up in about a week.
Oh, freaking.
And it is Yeah, we just saw it yesterday, I believe. I can say that it's a Zen spoiler, obviously, because we are under the Tiger section of the announcement, and it's a good card. We're excited to share it, and
Good, not great. Good to know.
No, it
Is it
might be
better or
legendary,
worse than
maybe,
Sync Blow?
but it's better.
Rip Taylor's argument.
So basically, I stream every Wednesday at 9 p.m. Eastern on the Card Guys channel. I'm trying to do some Twitch streams as well.
Do some Twitch streams as well. You can stream on both at the same time, unlike me now.
I actually did an extra stream last week on Monday, and I was just like jamming out to music and like trying to solve the meta, and YouTube literally took it down.
Yeah.
Due to copyright.
What kind of?
I'd never done that before.
Frick.
I never played music during my streams, and I just learned. I was like, don't do that.
No, don't do that.
Or they'll do that. So, but yeah, thank you for having me on. Always a ball. A lot of laughs, and hopefully nobody thinks that I hate my kids because I would trade them for Briar. But yeah, we had a ball.
Not denying he would, but don't hate him for it.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for watching. Everyone have a good rest of the week. Oh, we have webcam UPF on Monday. Even though I'm gone, I'm coming back just in time to do that. Bye.
Peace.